Three, two, one. And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. For anybody watching, thank you very much for watching. And we are on day 8 of our playthrough of Hollow Knight. This will be the final day, whether we finish the game or not. I will talk a little bit more about that here in a moment in regards to whether we finish it or not. I think we will, though. But I do want to briefly talk about something that I discovered. If we can pull up. So I'm not going to play this video, so nobody has to worry about any kind of spoilers or anything like that. However, one second here. Okay. I'm going to mute the music. So this video is a video that's covering Silksong, and the title of it, it's on YouTube, obviously. It's called Why Silksong Doesn't Work with Your Keyboard. And the content creator goes by the name of Holland. Now, I don't know this individual. I did have a brief commentary with this individual on one of his other videos, which was a Hollow Knight video. It didn't really go so well between us. He was very sensitive and defensive. So the conversation wasn't really going to be very productive. But that's not the reason for why I'm bringing it up. But he did make this video here, which is very good. I think people should go watch it. And what it does cover, at least the way he frames it, as why Silksong doesn't work with your keyboard. Now, I do kind of want to play it, but I don't want to, get into it. I'd rather you actually go and watch it so he gets the credit. I don't like reaction videos. I think it's theft and plagiarism, but that's another discussion. So I'd rather just promote it and just kind of quickly talk about what he talks about. So basically what this video covers is a bit about input and how it's being received by the game itself. And basically he covers how he tried to play the game Silksong, not Hollow Knight, but he tried to play the game with keyboard, and the keyboard commands with the keyboards that he tried were not working properly. And he does go into discussion between the differences of what he tried between a membrane keyboard and a mechanical keyboard. Now, I don't think he realizes that the keyboards that he was trying were membrane keyboards. He is aware of what a mechanical keyboard is. So it's not, a lot of people don't know that. I'm not trying to take a shot at him for it. It's not a big deal. That's not really the point. But the reason why I point that detail out is because on a controller, if you're using just a normal PS4 or even PS5 or an Xbox controller, nothing like a Pro controller or anything like that, the front face buttons are using membrane buttons. They are not mechanical switches. You can buy custom or higher grade controllers. I think Razer even makes a few that use mechanical switches instead of membrane switches, or membrane buttons, I should say. So anyways, he was talking about how basically he described a very similar problem of him not being able to do certain actions in Silksong when it came to sprinting and jumping. And it's a very short video. It's only 4 minutes, but I was just like, wow, this is the same problem I'm having with Hollow Knight, except it's not with sprint. It's with jump and also with pogo. And I even wrote, well, it doesn't appear to be here now. I don't think he deleted it. It didn't. Yeah. I don't know where my post is. It's not here. But he did respond, and I basically explained to him that the problem that I was having with Hollow Knight, because these are not the same games, but they do use a lot of the same programming and mechanics, even though they're not the same games. They're very similar. It's kind of like if you go and play, Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3, they're not the same games, but they're still using the same formula as far as like the movement and whatnot. Although you could argue, and I do agree, Dark Souls 3 movement and combat along with Bloodborne is faster than what you're going to experience in Dark Souls 1. But that's not really the comparison I want to make. But what I was noticing when I was playing Hollow Knight throughout the entire game, I've been having problems with jump. And, I won't lie. I was kind of skeptical on whether it was, the game, whether it was the controller, or whether it was just me. But I've done a little bit of testing while I've been away playing other games, platformers that I've already played, and I had zero issues with jump or any of the other inputs. But when it came to Hollow Knight, I would have an issue with it. And I suspect, based off what this individual talks about in this video, that it's the same problem in Hollow Knight. Now, when I asked him about it, he said that he had not experienced what I had experienced. And I was like, I get it, and I get why you might not want to believe me because of our past discussions. Go watch Fighting Cowboys videos, just the first, few, and he talks a little bit about it. He doesn't dissect it very much. He just keeps on plowing through it, and he eventually adapts to it. But he was having an issue with the jump as well. And the problem is, and I do want to point something out, I don't think everybody's going to experience this problem for a few reasons. I'm on PC. I think if you're on console and you are playing maybe, directly controller to the console, you might even be able to play wireless. I don't know. I haven't done all this testing. Honestly, I have zero interest. I don't love this game enough to even care to do the testing. I don't want to get into that. We'll get into that later. But I suspect that if you were on like Switch or PlayStation or Xbox, and maybe you were playing a wired controller directly to the console, you probably would not have as much of an issue, or you may not have as much of an issue. I do think it might be something related to the way the PC version of the game and the way it inputs functions. I don't know if that's the case. I don't have enough collected data and research to do it. And again, if this was a game I absolutely loved, I would do the research. I don't have the love for this game that other people have. Again, I'm getting ahead of myself because that's another discussion. But I do have more further proof that there is some kind of input problem with Hollow Knight with certain commands. And one of the things that I was noticing, especially on my last stream, is if I go to wall jump, or if I go to I will have to jump on the wall, and I have to almost release the direction, the D-pad of the direction, and then repress it and then press jump again. Where in most games, you can just hold the direction of where you're going and just press the jump button. That's normal. But for some reason, that's not the case with Hollow Knight. And I don't have any kind of, let me pull it up here. Let me go back. So this is the video I encourage people to go watch, because what he describes in the video is what I've been experiencing in Hollow Knight. Exactly. Except with him, he's having the problem with sprint. I'm not having a problem with sprint because there is no sprint option like there is in Silksong. But anyways, let me switch over to, back over to the game. Okay. So, let's see. Okay. So I don't have any custom mapping for this game. I'm using the default mapping. So, cause that was also a concern, am I using anything that, if I change my button config, because I do that a lot of times, I remap my buttons. But for a game like this, if it's like a normal platformer, there's usually not that many button commands that, I feel like I need to remap. I felt the buttons were appropriate, so that was kind of a bonus. But I am using I think it's the X button or cross button for jump. So I have to press the direction, jump, and then especially when I go to do a pogo attack, and then I have to release it and then press it. It's basically I have to press two buttons instead of like a normal game where you just press the one button and you just hold the direction. I have to press it twice, or I have to press two different buttons. And if they're not in sync, it's not going to execute the command, which basically is why I was having a lot of problems with pogo attacks, because I have to release, I have to jump, and then as I'm coming down, I have to press down and attack. That's normal. And then when I go back up, I have to release down, I have to release the attack button, which is normal for the attack, and then I have to press down and attack again. Where normally in another game, I could still be holding down and I could just go up and press attack again. I'm probably not making a lot of sense for anybody that may be watching this, but if you go and play the game, and if you're not experiencing it, it's just going to be easily dismissible and be like, oh, it's just skill issue, or it's just something with your controller, or whatever. I honestly believe this is not going to affect everybody, because I went back to look at the reviews of the games, and I didn't find a lot of reviews of people complaining about the controls. So it kind of leads me to believe that maybe it could be, it could be a lot of things, but given that I've already tried actually 4 different controllers, and all were giving me the same issue, and I tried it on 2 different PCs. I have multiple PCs, so I loaded it up on one of my other PCs, and I was getting the same issue. I'm using Windows 11 on both those machines. Don't know if that has anything to do with it. But again, I didn't really want to spend a whole lot of time trying to research and figure out what exactly it is, because that brings me to, I don't want to do a review right now. I want to kind of wait until I get done with the game, and today will be the last day. But my opinion of this game is this. Well, first off, let me just say this. I'm 50 years old. I am nowhere, I don't have the reflexes that I did when I was in my 20s and 30s, and even, my early 40s. However, and I'm an average gamer at best. However, given that I've gotten this far into the game and I've got this many hours put in, I do still bear a level of competence to be able to get through the game. And this game is really not, the problems I have with this game are not the difficulty. The problems with this game that I have are more so of certain design choices that the developers implemented into the game that are purposely done to be inconvenienced and punished. And this started to really raise a red flag to me, because I've started to notice, and I've noticed this over maybe the last, 5-7 years, that there are a group of gamers that very much like games that are very much punishing. That one tiny mistake that is made, they want to be brutally punished. And in my opinion, I do think that if there's an audience of gamers like that, I do think it would be good to have games that cater to that audience. Not every game is meant for everybody. Not everybody is, not every developer is going to, set out to target everybody, because there was a quote said a few years back, I think it was with Elden Ring, and I don't remember who the person was that said it. This is not my quote, but they said a game made for everybody is a game made for nobody. And I would agree, because everybody's going to be different. Everybody's going to have, even if you take out the skill level of the gamer, even if you were to let's just remove that for a moment, it's still going to come down to the enjoyment. What do people find enjoyable whenever actually making a game and for people to play? And for me, I'm not going to say that everything in this game was unenjoyable. I will admit, after finishing day 2, if I was not able to mod this game, I would have stopped playing this game, because I feel that there, as I said, are design choices that were made for this game that just don't work for me. But I was able to mod the game and make some changes that made it more bearable to get through and find some enjoyment. But what I've noticed, and I know a lot of people are going to say I'm just full of shit. For those people, either one, you're just going to live in denial, and that's fine. I don't care about your opinion because you're just a fanboy. But the other people that actually, want to challenge me and challenge what I'm saying, I can prove it. So what I encourage you to do, let me start over. We've all heard of what is known as review bombing. Okay. And review bombing is something that's become more and more apparent, I would say, over the last decade. And I think a great example of review bombing in the negative was Last of Us 2. Everybody knows that game got review bombed, and it was negatively review bombed. Now, in my opinion, it was rightfully deserved. That game is trash. As far as the technology and the visuals and the mechanics of the game, that's not what I'm judging. We all know about Last of Us 2. Not going to beat that dead horse. But that game was review bombed, and it was negatively review bombed. That means that you have people going and leaving reviews of a game they haven't actually played. And they may even create bots to do so. Well, I have never, ever experienced a game that was review bombed positively. Hollow Knight is the first game that I have found that was positively review bombed. And what I mean by that is I wonder if I can bring it up. Let's see. Actually, let me do it this way. I'm not going to show all the reviews, but I am going to show a little bit of what I mean. Hopefully, I'm not logged in, but okay. Let me zoom in a little bit. I'm on a recliner. I don't have a desk, so it's a little hard to control my mouse sometimes. Okay. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Okay, this is Hollow Knight, by the way. This is the review for Hollow Knight. And if you notice, the positive reviews are at 400 and I'm just going to round 400. What the hell? Okay, this has changed. Oh man, I wish I'd have taken screenshots now. Okay, this has changed drastically. Okay. I don't expect anybody to believe me. I wish I'd have taken screenshots because this has changed drastically. Okay, so the positive reviews for Hollow Knight, let me double check and say, yep, we are on Hollow Knight. Yeah, this has changed quite a bit in the last few days. I don't know how that happened, but the positive reviews for this game were at 430 to 440,000. And that was just a couple of days ago, like not even a week. And the negatives were at 50,000. Again, I already know people are going to be like, oh, you're lying, you're full of shit. I was not expecting this. I wish I'd have taken screenshots because I could have proved it with that. I can't prove it, but doesn't matter. I can still make my point, I believe, anyways. Okay, so what I encourage anybody to do that may think I'm full of shit, and that's fair, I think you should always question people who are making claims of things. So go over here to Playtime. I can get this thing to, and bring it down to, well, first off, according to the developers, Hollow Knight, the base game without doing any of the extras, takes about 40 hours to complete. 40, we'll just say around 40. And then to do like the completionist platinum achievement and all that, I think is 100 hours or more. Now, I can't speak for other people, but if I go to read a review from somebody for a game I'm interested in, I don't require that the individual who is leaving the review, I don't require them to have completed the game. I don't require that, but I do require that they've at minimum at least played 50%. I would prefer that they played more than 50%, but I would require that they at least have played 50%, because I have played games that have started out very slow and then eventually picked up and was like, whoa, okay, this is a big game changer, because as you progress through a game, generally the game gets better. Sometimes you're getting power-ups and the game starts to become, you're unlocking things. You're starting to feel a little bit better about your character. I'll give an example. Death Stranding. When I first started playing Death Stranding, the first 15 hours were not the most enjoyable. And I was, on the edge of, putting it down and being like, I don't think this game is for me. until I got to the second area and I got about 5 more hours in. And then I kind of felt like I got that aha moment and the game just got better and better. And I loved it. It's one of my favorite games. Can I recommend it to everybody? No, I can't. Even though I love it, I know a lot of people, it's just not going to work for because of the way the game is. It's just a very different type of game, and it's not a full game. It's a lot of it is a simulator. But anyways, getting back to Hollow Knight. Let's say Hollow Knight takes 40 hours to complete for the base game. Okay, that means for me, I want to be reading a review from somebody who's at least played 20 hours of the game. I don't think that's unreasonable. Anybody that's played less than 20 hours and is leaving a positive review, I don't feel is a valid review. Now, I want to show something here. If you notice, this person has less than 10 hours on record. They're leaving a positive review. This person, less than 10 hours, they're leaving a positive review. This person left a positive review at 6 hours. They've since, played a lot more. I would say that's still valid. They could have, unless they, I still think it's valid. This one's actually a valid review because if they didn't like it, they would have come back to change it. So I think, because they probably would have been mad or whatever and wanted to change it. This, I would argue, is a valid review. These first two are not. This one here, I would argue it's a valid review. They got to 43 hours. This person, less than 10 hours. It's right on the border. This person, close enough, not a valid review. This person, not even an hour, not a valid review. This person, they're right at 20. I'll go ahead and give them a pass and say it's a valid review. This person, less than 5 hours, not a valid review. This person, less than 10 hours, not a valid review. What's my point here? My point is, and unfortunately we can't see this unless you start going to SteamDB. And you start actually dissecting the players, and you actually go by, you start really dissecting it. Again, this starts to get a lot more investigative, but the point I'm trying to make is this 470,000 reviews. This is a lie, but it's different than what we experienced with The Last of Us 2. Instead of it being negative review bombed, it is positively review bombed. And look, I'm not trying to sit here and say that Hollow Knight's a bad game. It's not. Is it for me? Absolutely not. I've come to evaluate and really think about the game, especially over the last week when I haven't really been playing it, and really think about and watching some other reviews and trying to understand what is it about the game that I'm missing, that is just not hitting the itch that it seems to for so many others. And the reality is, one of the number one thing is, I'm not a masochist. I don't want to be punished horribly for making the tiniest mistake. I play games for fun. I think real life is punishing enough. I've got enough stress in my life, a lot of responsibilities, just like we all do. Not trying to make it all about me, because we all have responsibilities. And when I go to play a video game, I want something that is balanced with frustration, challenge, and fun. Hollow Knight, I don't feel, from my personal experience, that it balances that frustration, challenge, and fun in a way that is memorable and enjoyable to where I find it to be a game that I would give it a positive review. There are many things about the game that I like, and there are many things I dislike. The fact that I had to mod it in order to actually continue to play it is really, it's very telling, because I shouldn't have to mod a game to the point, where if I can't mod it, I can't enjoy it, or at least moderately enjoy it. So I'll talk about the positives of this game that I find to be just really, really good and above what I would consider most other Metroidvanias. And the number one thing for me is the enemy AI and some of the enemy designs. It's some of the best in a Metroidvania that I've experienced. The enemies are, some of them, not all of them, but some of them are very aggressive. They have some very interesting mechanics. And I wish more other, not even just 2D Metroidvania games, but I wish other developers and even 3D games, action RPGs, would do the same. I do think there's a little bit of bullshit jank with some of the targeting, because in Souls, you've got tracking, and you can negate the tracking by either doing like a perfect dodge or a perfect parry right at the window of being able to do so. However, in Hollow Knight, you don't have a parry. Not really. People say you do. Not really. I mean, I'm not saying you can't actually do a parry at all. It's something you would have to play the game many hours, many times through to learn how to do it. Because I watched a video of a guy explaining it, and I was just like, yeah, that just seems more jank to me. But the dodging, needs to be done at a very precise point, or jumping or whatever. And when your inputs are not exactly working to be able to, execute those movements, you're going to have failures. So that, again, I already kind of beat that dead horse. So the enemy AI in regards to the tracking is almost, I hate to say unfair, because most of it is fair, but there are some certain mechanics, certain things that I've experienced where, like, there was this one boss that had this spinning wand, and it wasn't exactly tracking the way, like, normal things like you would experience in a Souls game. It was pretty much a homing mechanic. So wherever I went, it didn't matter. It was still going to come to me, even if I redirect and try to dodge or whatever. And because it was so big, and because my movement of what I could use to counter it was just not really there, I would still get hit. Now, I was able to do the fight. Didn't really like the fight because of that, because I felt it was kind of bullshit. But and the thing is, that mechanic is repeated quite a bit with a lot of the other bosses, with slight subtle changes. Although I did get other abilities later that help you mitigate that a bit better, and maybe I was supposed to have those abilities, in order before going and doing that fight. That's a possibility as well. But so the enemy AI is my number one favorite thing about this game. And I will say, out of every Metroidvania I've played, I think it has the best enemy AI I've experienced. It's really good. I won't give anything a 10, so I'll give it like a 9.5. I really like it that much. The soundtrack is absolutely amazing in this game. It's really good. I mean, I could just, even just download the soundtrack. Like, there's some other games that have great soundtracks. Ender Lilies has a great soundtrack. Blasphemous has a great soundtrack. These are soundtracks you can download and just listen to. And Hollow Knight is definitely one of those. So the OST is, absolutely fantastic. The artwork for me is, so the soundtrack wise, I could definitely give it like a 9. The artwork and design, it's not bad. It's definitely not bad. And I can appreciate that a lot of it was hand-drawn 2D. I can definitely appreciate that. And there are areas in the game that are like, wow, this is really cool looking. And then there are areas of the game that just look like, this is not really all that great. The style of the game, like, I don't want to paint it like it's not good. Clearly it is. I can't say that the art is bad, because it's not. That's just not fair. But I would say, for my own personal aesthetic taste, it doesn't really hit the itch for me. However, I've watched quite a bit of playthrough of Silksong, mainly because I'm not going to play that game. It's not for me. So I decided to watch some of it. That game is gorgeous. I mean, they really took it to another level in regards to the artwork and design. I actually very much like the artwork, even though it's very similar to Hollow Knight. I like the artwork more in Silksong than I do Hollow Knight. But as far as the artwork, I would maybe give it like an 8. What else do I like about the game? Oh, I love the health system and the soul well system as far as how the health works, with the exception of one thing that I would change. Contact damage should be half a mask. So you've got these masks, and whenever you get hit, you lose a full mask. And then if you get a critical hit, you lose 2. In my opinion, contact should be half a mask. Everything else stays the same, but contact damage should be half a mask, in my opinion. And I like I said, I love the soul well system. That whole system, I'll give it an 8. Well, I could almost give it a 9. I just think the contact damage, which I don't know if that should be put in with that system, but I could almost go with a 9 with that. It would definitely be a 9 if contact damage was half a mask. I know that Silksong is like double. Another reason why I'm not going to play the game. It's just not for me. But although I could mod it, I could do all these mods and mod the game. But there are other things or whatever. Trying to think, what else do I like about the game? Sound design is really good. So I said I love the music. The sound design is actually really good. I guess with the NPCs and the obscurity to them, and even though there's no voice acting, I don't need really any voice acting. I mean, there kind of was. I mean, they're just talking in this very strange gibberish. I kind of like that aspect of the game. I think that's kind of cool. Some of the bosses are actually really good. They're hit and miss, kind of like a Souls game. Souls game bosses are hit and miss. There are 3 categories in Souls games. There are bosses that are just absolute trash. They require no thought whatsoever. You can go in and you'll kill them in your first attempt. Then there are bosses that are just kind of broken. They do bullshit, and you'll spend a whole bunch of time on them, and they're not particularly very fun, but you got to do them anyways. And then there are some that are really, really challenging. The mechanics are fantastic, and they're just fun to do, and you can play them over and over again. Hollow Knight is almost kind of like that for me. There have been bosses that I think are, very trivial, not particularly challenging. And then there's the bosses that are full of shit. And then there are bosses that are well designed, that are really hard, that I really like, would like to fight and fight again. So I kind of feel it's kind of that same scenario. What else? I would say like that's pretty much all the positives I can say. The negatives and the things that really turn me off, the map system. The map system is arguably one of the worst systems I've ever experienced in a Metroidvania. Because we all know there's no hand holding, and I understand that the fanboys are going to use that as a form of attack for people like me that think that we don't know, or I don't know what a Metroidvania is. Like, I've never played one before. I love how they project that as if they know my history of gaming. Believe me, because I've gotten into a few discussions with people like that. Or it's just get good. It has nothing to do with getting good. Okay. Like, I'm 50 years old. I have no doubts, and I'd be willing to bet I've been playing Metroidvanias since before they were even born. So it doesn't mean that I'm trying to virtue signal that I'm a better gamer. I'm probably not. What I'm trying to say is I'm more experienced. I was there at the beginning of its conception, and I see where it was, how it's evolved. Some developers have taken it in a very good direction. Some developers not so much. Hollow Knight is one of those games where I think the direction and the way they took the map is a complete failure. I would give it like a 5 or less. It's just awful. It's so bad that I started to think, I don't need to replay this game because I've already replayed it again and again and again and again. I don't know how many times, because of all the backtracking you have to do. And even now, obviously, if you know on your second playthrough And if you have an itinerary or you remember exactly where everything is, you can cut out a lot of that backtracking. So it probably does become a bit more enjoyable. But if you're trying to play the game blind, which I've mostly done, and you're trying not to, you're not using any guides or anything like that, you're going to be doing a lot of backtracking. And, I don't like when developers waste my time. And I feel like that's what's happened here. And that's what's killed this game for me, is just, I feel like it doesn't respect my time as a player. And I honestly can say, when I finish this game, which today will be the last day, regardless if we finish or not, it will be uninstalled and I don't see myself playing it again. But not because it's difficult. Yes, this game has difficulty. There are some difficulty spikes. It has challenged me at times. But this is the first time I've wanted to not play a game over again, not because of difficulty, but just because of poor design choices. Now, in my opinion, the backtracking problem in this game could have been easily fixed if the developers had given us an option at roughly the 50% mark in the game, where we unlock an ability, whether we pay for it or whatever, where we can warp between the benches, and every time we do, we have to pay Geo to do it. It would give us a currency sink. It would give us a reason to because once you get to a certain point in the game, Geo is useless. You don't need it anymore. There's no repair. You've bought everything in the game. So what is the point in having all the Geo? I haven't found one. I haven't completed the game, but I'm at the end of the game. I imagine whatever we need to buy, if anything, it's not going to be much. So we have all this Geo that just went to waste. And apparently Silksong has this same problem. Not with the fast travel, that's a problem, but just the fact that the economy and the way they structured it, they really didn't know what they were doing. So I think a fix for Hollow Knight, and honestly, they could still do this. If they wanted to, I'm sure they could go in and add an option to the game where players could actually warp between benches. If that was an option, I would maybe consider replaying this game in the future. Maybe. And I did look for a mod. I wasn't able to find one, but there is the cheat engine thing. I imagine that would allow it, but I don't really want to go that far to wanting to do it. But yeah. So anyways, those are just kind of a few of the things that I have. Obviously the run back to the bosses is another issue. This is not a bad game. And I'm not going to trash the developers. I'm not going to trash the game. But I do think that this game is overhyped. I think that this is to target a specific audience that, for the most part, does enjoy being punished in the way this game and even Silksong punishes you. And I would encourage people that don't believe me, go look at the reviews. Go look at how many of those positive reviews are people that actually play the game, because they're not. That's why I brought it up, because I knew people would be like, "Oh, you're full of shit. That's not true." Okay, so let's figure out what we want to do. I did discover something. I did get... What is it? Oh, that's my warp. Okay. I guess what I would like to have seen done is when somebody writes a review, I find I get more honesty out of the negative reviews than the positives, because the positive reviews are just fanboys just saying a masterpiece. Oh, this game is great. They don't actually go into detail to really talk about the game and the mechanics. Explain to me why you think it's great. I have to go to the negative reviews to get that. And believe me, the negative reviews, a lot of them are praising the game, but they go into the details of the deal breakers of why they're giving it a negative review. That's really kind of back-asswards, Anyways. I noticed that I had unlocked this waypoint called Stag Nest. And I noticed it when I was uploading my videos and doing the editing. So we're going to go check that out. And I noticed that when I pull up my map, I did already come over here, but I stopped because I didn't want to do any progression off stream. But it puts us way at the top, although I can't really, it's not showing me for some reason. Okay, there's no map of this area. I don't know why. Oh, okay. Oh, so we need one more piece to get another bubble. Okay, cool. Oh, I probably need some nut juice so I can, like, I don't know, trigger this or something. Oh, wait. Hold on. But I did notice it brought me way up here at the top. Let's see if I can pull up the map now. Yeah, it brought me over here. I don't know why, because I never was able to get up here. I can't jump up here. The double jump doesn't actually work to be able to get up there. So, yeah. Not really sure. Anyways, let me do this. Well, we did get another piece for our bubble. I need to charge up my nut juice. Where could I go to do that? Like one of those pools. Is there a tram near one of those pools? Alright, let's just go kill a few enemies. Oh, we're going to be coming back over here later. I think this is like the final area of the game. But there's a few other things I want to do before we wrap up the game. So these are like kamikazes. Not really sure how to kill those without taking damage. I mean, I could use a spell, but I'm trying to gain soul if I can. Even though I do agree, a game made for everybody and a game is a game made for nobody. I definitely agree with that sentiment. I do think the devs could have made a few minor changes to the game that would have brought more people to the game and allowed people to, well, just enjoy the game. And if they wanted to, you know, push the limits and do the really, really hard difficulty that they expect, they could still do it, and it would be a requirement in order to get like the platinum. Okay, I think we're good. Let's go back. I think I'm going to be playing Ender Lilies next. I really enjoyed that game. I pulled up. I had started the game a while back, and I was trying to remember why I quit playing it. Because I was enjoying it. I think it was because Lies of P got released, and I think I started to play that. Okay, so I did look up something. So I have a total of 10 charms, or 10 charm notches, and there's 11. In order to get the 11th one, I have to do the quest where I put this on and I have to go kill a bunch of enemies, and then I have to kill Grim. I did look that up. I didn't watch like a video on it, but I just read the basics of it. Depending on, because I have some other things I want to finish up in the game, depending on how much time we have left, we may go try to do that. But it does seem like a rather long quest. There's the other one where with the flower, we will not be doing that. I read about that. No, you couldn't pay me to do that quest. That is not for me. Basically what you need to do in order to do that quest is you have to go all the way over here. Let's see if I can do this. I think it's over here. You get a flower, and then you have to take it all the way over to somewhere over here in Queen's Gardens. I don't know where in Queen's Gardens because I didn't, watch a video or anything or get that far in. But you have to do it. It reminds me of the pizza delivery quest in Death Stranding. And that one was actually fun because it was timed, and that was fun. This one I would not enjoy. I'm not going to say it's not fun. I'm sure there are people that would have it, but you have to do it by foot. You can't warp. I think you can use the trams, but there's only one. So it's kind of like, well, doesn't really matter. If you can only use one tram, you're still going to, have to go way the hell over here. It would give me another mask piece, but given that we would still need one more, not gonna bother with that. I would like to try to maybe get the last piece of this if we can. And there is one more upgrade to the weapon, but we would have to go do the Colosseum. And given how long the first Colosseum was, Colosseum of Fools, we did the first one. There's 3. They get longer, and obviously they get more difficult. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't really find it to be that enjoyable to want to do it again, but whatever. Let's see if we can get over there, and I'm not sure if we can do something with that elevator or not. Okay, it doesn't seem to be doing anything. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we've kind of completed that. There was a boss. Let's see. Over here. We're going to go try to do that boss. That boss was being a real prick. There's actually about 3 bosses that we need to do. So I think we're mostly going to be doing bosses for this playthrough. And whether we kill them all, I don't know. Oh, I was thinking about trying this. What is it? Whoa, that's really expensive. I didn't realize it was 4. I was thinking about trying this. Oh no, I don't want to be overcharged. Yeah, that's really expensive. $4. Yeah. I don't know. I'd probably do if it was 3, but 4, and that's really, really expensive. Yeah, we'll just go with this. All right, let's go. The boss we're going to be doing is why are you? Yeah, I think think we're going to Queen's Gardens. Yeah, so we got to go up to that gold mark. Now we do... Ooh. We went the wrong way. We should have come... Yeah, we should have come from the top, because I remember going up that way fucking sucks. So... we need to go to Green Path. It's a little bit longer run, but it's much easier to manage. So go down and to the right. Okay. Don't mind if I hit a Tesla station. Can use the juice. Okay, keep going to the right. I don't know if we can do this though. Oh, fucker. The other way is shorter, but there's a lot of bullshit platforming that you have to go through, and once you like do it, you have to do it in a way where if you don't do it perfectly, you're going to end up getting sent all the way back. So it ends up taking longer than if you just go this way. But if you're a pro at platforming, which I am not, then yeah, you probably should just go the other way. I do like platforming. I don't want to give off the impression that I don't. But the platforming required for this game isn't really my cup of tea. Which fortunately kind of told me that Ori and I think it's Ori and the Wisp is probably not for me. Beautiful game though. I have both, but now that I know what type of platforming they are, probably won't be playing those. Ori is like the majority of the game is platforming, even more than Hollow Knight. So, okay, this is where we got the grub. So we're going down.